Um, Imagine as a child, every Sunday you're put in some hot sauce headdress and you have to go to some temple to worship some spaghetti monster in the sky, right? And then you're told if you could follow all of his commandments and you do everything perfectly to his design, the spaghetti monster, you get to join him in the great spaghetti cabinet in the sky. But if you don't, this all-loving deity will send you down to the bottom of the earth where there is a nice cold freezer drawer where all the bad noodles go. Now, imagine you as a child are forced this by your parents to do this every week. You would might, be accurate in calling that child abuse. Well, that's exactly what I want to go over, is if you were to remove those spaghetti, noodle-based euphemisms and replace them with more common religious buzzwords, you get kind of what I feel is a problem going on in today's society. So, my main point is, I feel like imposing religion onto the next generation was fantastic during the early years of humans. One of humans' greatest achievements, what makes us really different than other primates, is our ability to tell stories. And this allowed us to have societies much greater than just like hunting packs. But you couldn't be everywhere at once. This is before Google, this is before Facebook. We did not have telephone lines going across, we couldn't get everyone together. So how do you enforce your rules when you can't physically be everywhere at once? So how do you enact Big Brother? How do you have all eyes watching? Well, how about one eye's watching? You always. The idea of religion was to always kind of enforce the idea of how a government could enforce control, as long as the ideas of the religion and the government were hand in hand. They're the twin pillars of society. This would be more in the Mesopotamia, African area when it comes to early society, or I guess you'd call it more Egypt today, but moving forward, you wouldn't really do this today. I mean, this is 2021. Those are kind of the training wheels of mankind I feel like we have left off. And there are now repercussions for doing so. We are in a world that is not ran by religion, if I do say so myself. I do understand that the United States logo still is in God We Trust, but there's a lot of people who do not feel like that represents them, who feel almost oppressed by the fact that they are chained by this idea of religion. So going more into that, is we all have this problem, right? Imagine having a kid in chains. Everyone knows that's evil, that's wrong. Like that's wrong. But as a society, we really have becoming more sensitive of the mental stuff as well as the physical. But going on to that, go with mental chains. And I think that there is such thing as mentally chaining someone, mentally screwing them up into something that they're not. It is the removal of free will. You don't know what your child's going to be. Now I get it, you're an adult, right? You get your child, you tell them what you want them to be. You help them, you kind of push them along the way, kind of the training wheel analogy I use. But you have to acknowledge it's free will. If they're their own person, at the end of the day, they have to make their own decisions. Otherwise, they're just an extension of you, not their own person. Say if I want my kid to be a car, I'm not going to have them go get surgery to become a car if I want it. I understand they're a human who wants to be accepted by free will. Now, connecting this to me personally, I always, as a child, felt very disconnected from both my parents and the rest of the kids because I kind of had this three mask thing going on where I had my school mask, my home mask, and my church mask, all of which weren't me at all. They were all influenced by the religion that was put on me. I, even at a young age, just didn't believe it. It seemed too far-fetched for even 5-year-old me. So I'm sitting there doing everything I do based off of this religion, and I never feel like I really get that connection between anyone because it all feels like I'm talking through this mask, this veiled wink after everything I do. And because of that, it really makes me just feel punished about trying to be me. Even having the thoughts about what felt like naturally me, like my natural inner monologue, felt like it was being chastised because of the rules put on me by someone who isn't me. Something that I do believe is so far-fetched and that modern day does not need. We do not need a greater good to tell us to be good. I think the best thing that humans can do is being good without the fear of punishment. Now, being a kid, the idea that I would go to hell for eternity and imagine a kid burning on fire forever, it's cruel. I think it's a cruel act of service by fear, and I don't agree with it. And not only that, but there's not only the fear of this spiritual punishment, but this punishment from your parents. I, right now, am doing this speech here because I cannot do this in my own home at 24 because it would make my parents cry. They would have this discontent for me. because they are very religious. Religious people moving from Missouri come from a family of pastors, very deeply religious people, and I cannot tell them how I truly feel. And so there's always this disconnection. But I feel like it is something all young people are not, at least all, but a very big proportion of us are starting to feel this. I feel like it is almost this trade for being connected with other humans to the lack of being a religious entity. That being said, there are actual statistics. There was a Florida University anonymous poll in which it did state that 30% of all people who attended felt like they did feel forced into their religion, if they believe it or not, and 60% of them claimed that they would have fear telling their peers that they changed their religious practices. An anonymous telephone poll in 2007 claimed that 16% of all Americans said that they did not have a religious affiliation, yet in 2019, this changed to 26%. That is a 62% increase in just about 15 years, almost 15 years, around the ballpark. And that's because a lot of us young people feel like we are breaking the attachment from it, and yet our parents are pushing it on us, and it's creating this mask, this wall that does not need to be there, and it needs to be broken. It is a form of mental manipulation, and it needs to be broken. Thank you.